Welcome, witches, to the Witch Whispers podcast. Now, Debbie's going to definitely be whispering. Her throat is not doing well. She's got a little bit of a laryngitis, so I'll be doing a little bit of that. I will be doing most of that, actually. My bad. So this is season 1, episode, believe it or not, 12. Yeah, we've been doing this for a year now.
Wow.
So that means that next month's episode is going to be season 2, starting a whole second year. So we have some new stuff that is going on inside of If the Broom Fits that we want to let you know about. One of those things is we have a brand new person joining us. Colleen, hi.
Hello.
Hi. Why don't you tell us what your business name is and what you do here at If the Broom Fits in your little space?
All right. Well, my name's Colleen. My business name is called Vine Maple Tarot. So I also am okay with being called Vine, in case you can't remember my name. I am a tarot reader, obviously from the business name, and I also do bone throwing, actually. I've been doing tarot readings for about 10 years now, just on my own for friends and family and people who are interested in it. And I just decided it was time to just really get into it. And I chose the name Vine Maple Tarot because I moved here a couple years ago from the East Coast, and I'm really very much into plants. Not only as just as an activist who's interested in environmental and conservation issues, but also in terms of my personal, private, spiritual work, plants are really important in that. And in working with the native plants of this area of the PNW, vine maple in particular stood out to me as a very, very important plant. It kind of revealed itself to me as a pathfinder plant. So I've integrated it into my spiritual practice as a plant that can help guide. And I thought that in terms of my personal symbolism in the world, it felt perfect for what I hope to do for people as a tarot reader and bone thrower or whatever. I take questions that are both spiritual and mundane in nature. I've answered lots of questions about love and career and all that stuff. But I've also had people come to me about ancestral work and deity work. And I only can hope to answer the best of my abilities. Everybody I've talked to seems to walk away feeling like they have a better direction to go in. So I really enjoy those types of questions, actually, because it gets me thinking more about it for myself and how I can grow in my knowledge to further help people.
How much do you charge for your services?
60 for 30 minutes and then 100 for an hour. So if you want a whole hour, there's a little bit of a discount there. Cookie wanted
Cookie wanted to be involved in the conversation.
Cookie always wants to be involved in the conversation. That's why I keep telling her to go to bed.
Mm-hmm. But this is a woman-owned business. I am also queer friendly. I identify as bisexual myself, and I have helped a lot of trans people who come to me asking about questions like how can they integrate their spiritual practice with their newfound identities, whatever that might be. So that's also really important to me, just to help people with that. I also am an artist, and I'm currently setting up lights in my little space here at If the Broom Fits to have a little gallery space with prints available starting at $25. So I'm just waiting for my first ones to come off the press, and then they're going to go right up on the wall and be extra shiny and beautiful and pretty.
Nice.
Perfect. Nice. Are you running any specials or anything? No? Or I don't mean to put you on the spot, just wondering.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out even base prices. I've only been here at the shop for 2 weeks now, so I'm still figuring out just the basics. When I started, I did readings for myself, and it was very adamant that January would be a steep learning curve for me, so I'm just trying to tackle that challenge head on and figure everything out as I go.
Okay, cool.
Well, awesome.
And again, what is the name?
Vine Maple Tarot.
Okay, and you're here Tuesday through Saturday. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I start noon to 6, Tuesday through Friday, and then Saturday I'm here from 10 to 4.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and introducing yourself to our followers and our listeners, and hopefully it'll bring you some more people in.
Yeah, hopefully. I hope to see more of you. I've had great conversations with the people who have wandered in over the past week or so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All righty. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a good con.
Well, thank you.
Congrats on reaching season 2.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so this episode is really going to focus on the final Sabbath in the witch's year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we
The
got
wheel of
Imbolc,
the year.
the wheel of the year. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Imbolc. Like I said, I'll be doing most of the speaking. Debbie will be pushing things in here and there as we go along because, again, her voice is not as steady. So, well, February is a-coming. We're only 2 weeks away. And that means it's time for Imbolc, a time of to celebrate the midpoint of winter season and the imminent arrival of spring. Oh, long-awaited spring. Yeah. Thermostat seems to be broken. Mother Nature needs to call the repairman because it is cold out. Even though it does feel like the dead of winter out, it still is indeed around the corner, and nature is preparing for her arrival. Excuse me. Imbolc signals a renewal of life, cleansing, and an invigorating feeling of hope as we look forward to the lighter days ahead. Now, in my witchcraft class, one of the things that my students start doing right before around Yule is they have to write down the sun up and sundown. What time the sun comes up and down. And this is about the time where they start noticing that we're getting about 2 to 3 minutes of light more every day. So with the wheel of the year, we need to understand that it's every 6 weeks we have a Sabbath. So Imbolc is letting us know we're halfway to spring. Mm-hmm. Okay. Imbolc was also known as Candlemas or Bridget's Day. It is a sacred celebration that marks the midpoint between the winter solstice and the vernal equinox. It embodies the increasing daylight, which we just kind of talked about with my students, and the gradual returning of warmth. It can also, in the Pacific Northwest, be false.
And most of the time is.
Right. And it's usually beckoning us to winter that witness the tender shoots that are pushing through the soil. This is when you start seeing a little bit of crocuses, is right after Imbolc. You start seeing crocus shoots come up. You might start seeing daffodil shoots coming up. And they're pushing through the soil and mirroring our own inner awakening that happens at this time. Sorry, I read that wrong. You did a wonderful job of writing it up, and I just totally butchered that. I'm so sorry. So let me try it again. It embodies the increasing daylight and the gradual return of warmth, beckoning us to the tender shoots pushing through the soil, mirroring, God, why am I fumbling over that? The inner awakening that unfolds within ourselves. There, that's beautiful. You wrote it very well. As nature readies itself for renewal, so too do we prepare to embrace the burgeoning light from within. Imbolc holds deep roots in ancient Celtic tradition, and it's associated with Bridget or Brid. I don't speak. I know how to say my name is Aine in Gaelic. Ismi Anya. So there you go. Bridget or Bridge is the goddess of fire, poetry, healing, and fertility. This festival is celebrated on February 1st through sundown of February 2nd. It serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of the days of winter, there is always hope for new beginnings. This is also Candlemas. The Catholics call this Candlemas because they couldn't get the old religion people to move away from lighting a candle to honor the coming of the sun, S-U-N, as the days get longer. The symbolism of Imbolc revolves around light and fire. Candles are lit to represent both physical light and spiritual illumination. The flame represents our inner spark of inspiration and creativity that's been dormant during the winter's hibernation. And as we kindle these flames, we ignite our own passions and desires for growth. Nature plays a significant role in Imbolc celebrations. It's a time when we witness signs of life returning to the earth after months of dormancy. Snowdrops begin to bloom. That's a flowering plant from the amaryllis family.
Do you guys get snowdrops up here?
I don't know. I've seen bleeding hearts. I don't think I've ever seen snowdrops wild, though.
Yeah, I have some. I was gifted a pot of them, and it's really nice. But I don't recall ever seeing any in the wild.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever been on the property at Finnan during. I know I've seen crocuses and bleeding hearts start coming out.
You may not,
but I don't know if I've ever seen the snowdrops. They're really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Lambs are born and buds start to appear on the tree. This up here in the Pacific Northwest, and when you start seeing that really bright fluorescent green, you can't really see that there's buds, but the actual trees almost look like a phosphorescent green because they're coming back to life after being dormant. These small but powerful manifestations remind us that life persists even in seemingly inhospitable conditions. We witches are very used to living in inhospitable conditions.
Just a little FYI, because in writing this and talking about it with other people throughout the years, they're like, well, I don't understand. Why do animals hibernate in the winter in the wild? But when we go to the zoo, they're out. It's because, just a little FYI, they're being fed.
Yeah. They have keepers.
Food, yeah. If there's being food given to them, they don't hibernate. And I got this from my brother-in-law, who is a hunter, and I asked him that question, and he gave me the answer. So
it makes sense, though. It really does, because in the wild,
answer to a question you never knew you wanted.
Right? Because in the wild, it's packed under snow. Like the Arctic fox now, that's wholly different. But they are adapted to be able to deal with the snow. So, if you don't adapt, then if you sleep for a few months, you don't have to worry about finding resources because you're asleep.
To be able to sleep for a couple
of months. No. Right? No joke. So, as we kind of talk about that, nature prepares for renewal during Imbolc, and so too do we prepare ourselves for personal transformations. We reflect on our own journeys through the darkness and contemplate what needs nurturing within us to bloom to our fullest potential. We start going into this darkness at Samhain. Samhain is the beginning of the entry into the quote unquote underworld, where Imbolc is kind of like, now we're taking the uptick towards spring. So think about, like, if you think about Adi, or as we Americans butcher it, Hades, and Persephone. If you think about that, Persephone is starting to get ready to come back up to the mid-earth so that she can prepare. And that's what Imbolc is all about. This is when people, if you have a greenhouse, you're going to start planting your seeds in your home where it's warm so that they can germinate.
And that's why I make the Persephone candles, because so many people don't understand you can work with Persephone in the spring, early spring,
right,
all the way through spring, actually.
Right.
But they only seem to want to work with her.
And I think that might be this.
Close to Samhain.
Yeah. And in the Greek tradition, though, Persephone, when she emerges from the underworld to the midworld, where spring begins, her name is actually changed to Kore. So a lot of Persephone is a fall goddess, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But her persona in the spring is Corée, where she is young, beautiful, and where Persephone is, she's a little bit older because she's gone through quote unquote life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe that's why a lot of people don't,
Yeah.
because they know of Corée, but they don't understand that Corée and Persephone are the same person with a different name. And one common practice that a lot of people do practice during Imbolc, and I've seen many of the posts on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok right now talking about it, are Bridget's crosses.
Mm-hmm.
These crosses are woven from reeds, straws, or grasses and are hung in homes to invoke the blessing of Bridget for protection, healing, and fertility. Let's just revisit this. Fertility does not necessarily mean anybody's preggers. Okay. Fertility can be the project you've been working on this whole winter is now going to come to fruition so that you can, at the springtime, introduce it to your customers, your
Right.
followers.
It's anything you're working on.
Exactly. Anything you're working on can be considered a quote unquote, air quote, fertility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And these serve as physical representations of our intentions for the coming year. So a lot of people are preparing, and like we were talking, like sowing seeds. Those seeds don't necessarily have to be dirt, seed, growth, roots. It could be, I've been working on this painting. I've been working on this project. For example, Shannon and I have been working on new products for us as well during this winter, and we've been refining certain things. And we've found some really like hits that have gone off just beautifully that we will be introducing, come spring. But we've also found some misses that were like, whoa, this was not a good idea. This is a little bit more expensive than we want it to be. And we can't handle that. That price is just too much for what our customer base would like. So, but those are the kind of coming years. What are we going to do when our witches years start at Ostara? What are we going to be doing from there on out? Because, preparing the field, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
You can use that as an analogy for your spirituality as well, right?
Of course.
Another tradition is the lighting of bonfires or candles to honor Bridget and bringing of warmth and light into our lives. And this act is not only symbolizing the returning sun, but it also serves as a reminder that we have power to ignite our own inner fire, something that we as humans tend to forget during the dark and colder months. Imbolc is a time for introspection and setting intentions for the year ahead. And it's also an opportunity to reconnect with ourselves, our desires, as well as our dreams. As we witness nature's awakening, we're reminded that just as the earth transforms, so too can we. Now, at Samhain, a lot of people start doing shadow work. This is during the winter is when a lot of shadow work is getting done. And the reason is because it is a very natural time to process those shadow workings. Because those shadows are the things that you don't necessarily appreciate about yourself, right? I had a friend of mine, Rhonda from Witches in the Resistance, posted this beautiful meme, and it was studies that actually supported what witches do during the winter. Okay, so studies have shown that we tend to feel sleepier, we crave more rest, we have lower energy from less sunlight, we have less motivation and are withdrawn. Colder weather causes slower circulation. Kind of like, think about a reptile. If it's cold out, it ain't moving fast.
It's like any of the animals. It's
Exactly.
hibernation.
It's hibernation.
It's our hibernation.
It's the quiet time. It makes us feel more chilled because we have less circulation. We have more aches and stiffness. Again, circulation and movement equal having good joint health. If you're not moving a whole lot and you got joint problems, then you're going to be stiff and achy. Okay.
I want to interject something too.
Yeah.
For me, every year about this time, something happens to me health wise. And it's because I am constantly run, new projects, want to get the shop looking right, everything, everything's got to be perfect. Well, if you don't stop,
Mhm.
goddess and nature will stop you.
As
And
Sekhmet,
every January, no matter what, I thought, oh, I'm going to get through it this time. Yeah, that didn't work out.
Sekhmet's been hammering at me because I'm like you, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're forward facing. We have people who come in. We want it to look like,
And we're perfectionists.
look good. And one of the things that Sekhmet's been really hammering on me for about the past, I don't know, I'd say 3 or 4 years now, is hey. It
Stop
doesn't
taking care
have
of
to
yourself.
be perfect. It simply has to be. That's it. And the rest of the meme, the very last one, is our bodies naturally seek moments of stillness and reflection. Because again, that's where we're preparing for what is to come in the next 6 weeks from Imbolc, when we have the first day of spring, the vernal equinox or Ostara. Please see episode, I believe it's 2, season 1. We talk about Ostara. But I think that one of the things, I've had customers come in, I just don't have any energy. Yeah, sweetie, you don't have a whole lot of energy because we're right in the dead middle of winter.
Mm-hmm.
This is normal. And right now, everybody's feeling really tired because we have 6 planets, most of them in retrograde, which are now aligning. So that's going to amplify all of the, for lack of a better term, symptoms that one might have from living with Mother Earth, the way that we were originally meant to live with her.
Mm-hmm.
We got off a lot of these cycles because we now have electricity, we now have running water, we now have la 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 la. Right, exactly. So we need to really rethink and go back to keep it super simple. So I say KISS, but I don't use the stupid. I really have never liked that. Keep it simple, stupid. I've always hated that because people aren't stupid.
No,
they're just
they're
not aware.
Need that inner voice.
Yeah,
yourself you're stupid because it's
so
not true.
I changed KISS for my students to mean keep it super simple. You don't have to go above and beyond, but really take that time to just, you want to take a nap? Great. Take a nap. Hibernate. It's okay.
That's my biggest problem is if I am sitting down, I am, what do I need to get done?
Yeah.
I need to get something done.
Yeah.
So I have to continually remind myself. And that's really hard to do.
It is, because we're taught that it's not okay.
I don't do what I teach.
Right? Yeah. Practice what you preach.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah. A lot of us who do teach, we sometimes have to remind ourselves that if we're going to tell our students to do this, we should probably be doing it ourselves.
Yeah. So come in.
Yes.
Get you some tea.
Yeah, exactly.
Go home, read a book.
Right? You got all sorts of stuff that can help you with it. So let's talk about those symbols of Bridget. So what are we going to do? If we're looking for symbols, what can we do to honor the 6 weeks, the blessings of the coming daylight, the warmth of the sun as the earth rotates closer to the sun, which we now know in science. But of course, way back when in the old religion, they did not know that. They were just hoping it would show back up. Mm-hmm. That's why we did the Imbolc and the supplications and the offerings. They were asking for They were asking, oh, please don't abandon us. Come back, come back. So the symbols for Bridget are flame, which purifies, warms, and protects. It's also something, as a person who is a double fire sign, it's also something to remind you that if you're going to have fire in your home, please, please, please use safety fire protocol. Okay? If you're going to light a candle, don't just look around it, look up. Heat rises. The last thing you want to be is the witch on the 6 o'clock news because they accidentally burned down their house because their candles caught their curtains on fire. Snowdrops. one of the first plants to burst through the snow. Now, we just kind of talked about it.
Mhm.
It's not available here, but you know where it is available? As my mother would say, on the Google.
Mhm.
Print out a picture of one.
Mhm.
You don't necessarily, anything that really signifies early spring to you. Crocuses,
Mhm.
daffodils. Now, daffodils to me are more like mid in between Imbolc and
I feel the
Ostara.
same way.
If I'm seeing daffodils, I know we're closer to Ostara, but that's just me.
Mhm.
But maybe you like a daffodil, so that's what you're gonna do. Okay, and you can print those out and put those on your altar. You can print those out. You can save it on your phone and just have it as your screensaver so you can see it and honor that. Another symbol is a swan, which represents purity and loyalty because swans mate for life. And they really honestly do mate for life.
Mhm. Mhm.
The one that survives will die shortly after the other one does because they don't want to live alone.
Mhm.
Bridget's cross, a traditional fire wheel symbol representing protection. We talked about that. It's made with grasses and so on and so forth. There are some people who offer it into the fire on Imbolc as a sacrifice to
Right.
Bridget to say, please come and bless us with your warmth, your light,
Mhm.
the coming spring.
I try and use those as a thank you.
There you go.
It's a gratitude offer. It's still an
Gratitude
offering,
offering.
but it's a gratitude for everything that I've received up to this point.
Yeah, and when
which
I
think
say
is important.
and when I say offering, I'm not talking about, slaughtering a goat.
Right.
Okay, we're not talking about a sacrifice, which we do make sacrifices. I mean, myself personally, I happen to see it that if I go buy a really expensive stone to put on my altar for my goddess at that moment, that is a sacrifice. That's money I could have used for a bill. That's money I could have used to buy supplies for the apothecary or whatever I need for whatever. So, in some ways, that is a kind of a sacrifice. Another symbol is Bridget's doll. And can you tell us a little bit about the doll?
Like the
Are we talking about the corn dolly?
Yeah, a lot of people start making them now so that they'll be dried out
Yes.
by the time that we get ready for them for Beltane and all of. I'm sorry, I'm foggy too.
That's okay. It's all right. It's all right. No worries.
I'm
no
trying
worries.
to grasp everything.
That's okay. So,
excuse me.
Another symbol is the serpent, which is associated with awakening creativity and the transformation. It's also part of the energy that we run through our body and our chakra system. It's called Kundalini.
Mhm.
It is also represented as a snake. And we have to remember that Kundalini is what keeps us warm, that keeps us our light shining.
Mhm.
So if you're having problems with your willpower, if you're having problems with, your emotional needs being met, you might have a problem with that Kundalini or your own quote unquote snake
Mhm.
of energy. Also, a sheep. The Catholic Church really took this over beautifully by making the Lamb of God being the big thing right now during Imbolc and Ostara. But the sheep for us represents fertility and innocence because it's a blooming, it's a regrowth. The colors for Imbolc can be white for purity, green for new life, blue for protection, and gold for fire. You can also do red for fire as well.
Any of the fire.
Yeah, any of the fire, red, orange, gold.
Because I've had people come in here. I only have red candles at home. Then use them.
Yeah, exactly. Herbs and rituals for Imbolc. So you have bay leaves, which are associated to the sun and are used for renewal, intuition, and protection. Write down some of your intentions on the bay leaf. Put them in a jar with the bay leaves as a reminder of what you want to manifest. So when I do that, I write it on the bay leaf and I'll put it under a candle or I'll wind it around a candle. You have to be really careful with those because the bay leaf will catch fire.
And not only that, if they're not fresh, they'll crack and break.
Yeah, they'll crack and break.
If you use a dried bay
But
leaf.
I would have a tendency not to put them back in unless that whole container is going to be part of that spell.
I wind up using bay leaves and writing on them, and I put them in the jar as a reminder. And then when comes Beltane for the fire, that's when I burn them.
Oh, the whole jar.
The whole jar of leaves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what my
And
question
take
was.
them out, read them, put them in the fire. Read it, put it in the
So
fire.
it's kind of like a gratitude jar kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's a great idea. So you could do something like that, definitely. Rosemary. Rosemary is associated with fire and creativity. It's used for cleansing, protection, and purification.
And people, excuse me for interrupting, but
Please.
people don't wind up using that enough. We have
Yeah.
dried rosemary bundles here.
Mhm. But everybody
So,
comes in wanting sage.
They want
Sage,
sage.
sage, sage, sage,
Sage
sage.
is absolutely fabulous for cleansing and clearing.
Mhm.
But when you want to bring in your, Imbolc
Right.
energies, rosemary is fantastic.
Well, and as a person who's severely allergic to sage, and
it's a great alternative.
the running joke is all of the women in my family must be demons because none of us can breathe when sage is burnt.
Right.
My mom and my sister and I, all three of us, we cannot breathe when sage is being burned around us. It shuts our lungs down. Comfrey leaves, for example, you don't ever, ever, ever want to burn comfrey leaves. It shuts down your respiratory system and can kill you. So, no, but
Yeah, be
knowing
careful.
that there's other alternatives to sage, there's rosemary, there's lavender, there's palo santo, there's cedarwood.
And we have cedarwood too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we use that during the Yule season.
Exactly.
Which is still good for the winter months.
Exactly. So there are other ways around it. And even now, when it comes to sage, white sage specifically, we have to be careful because we've been asked by the Native Americans, the First Nation people, to please not use white sage. That is cultural appropriation. Only their shamans use it. Please stop using it.
And I have to tell you, it stinks.
It does.
I do not like white
I know.
sage.
I don't like white sage myself personally either because but here's the thing. If I walk into someone who's doing a ritual, like a shaman who is burning, and here's the difference. The Native American shamans only burn a leaf of sage. They don't big ass but they don't use that. That is the inappropriate use of that. One leaf, that's it. And they use that one leaf like 3 or 4 times. So it's not burnt in the way that we Americans think that it is burnt to cleanse with. And we need to re-educate. So, but rosemary is really wonderful. But it is a very musky, it smells very close to sage. There's times you burnt rosemary where I walked in going, is this sage?
And see, I kind of think when you ask me that, you've probably seen me frown.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what?
Because to me, it has a sweet fragrance.
See, and to me, that woodsiness of it, which is what the problem with sage is it's a woodsy smell. That's the part that ignites my asthma. So to me, my body goes, woodsy, can't breathe. And I'm like, wait, stop. Because my brain goes into overload of what happens if I can't breathe. Where's my asthma inhaler? Where's an escape
and
route?
I try and burn in the shop when I set intentions every morning, whatever the seasonal is. And right now I'm burning cedar.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. Oh, I love the smell of cedar wood burning. It's just beautiful. So sorry about that interruption there. We had something we had to take care of. So the next herb on the list is heather. Heather is associated with both cleansing and fertility. Drinking some heather tea can connect us with its essence and discover what can be swept away to make room for the new to sprout.
And we have heather growing right out front.
Yeah, and sometimes you can take heather. Back in the old religion, when I say old religion, y'all, I'm talking about before BCE, before Common Era.
Before the troglodytes.
Right, exactly. but actually, BCE means if you were to use the Christian moniker, it would be before Christ. Because I'm not a Christian, I use BCE, before Common Era. Now, before Common Era, or in the old religion, they would actually go out and get big things of heather and actually use that to sweep out the smell from the winter, because you got to close up the house to stay warm, and when all you got is straw and hay, and
smelly.
it gets smelly. And think about that. A lot of those farm people, they had to bring their animals into the house so that they could stay warm and survive the winter as well. So they would use those heather brooms, big swaths of heather, to clean it out so that it would smell better for the last 6 weeks before the livestock could go back to the damn barn.
And that's why I make a new floor sweep every January is a
Yep.
new floor sweep. Same thing.
Exactly.
It's to sweep out the old
Right.
residual energies and smell from your home
Mm-hmm.
and open it up for new.
Absolutely. And there's other things too. Like I have renewal spell shells that you can use. As far as the aches and pains, I've got joyful joints cream. So there are ways that we can actually help you with some of the things that might be hindering you feeling comfortable as you are coming up from the underworld into the midworld. So let's talk about the gods and the goddesses that are celebrated for Imbolc, because it's not just Bridget. There's the triple goddess, Athena, and Aradia as well. Now, the gods that are celebrated for Imbolc are Osiris, Pan, Eros, and Herne, Herne.
Yeah, Herne.
Herne. That's what I thought. I don't know. I didn't
you
call
know,
I didn't call my friend who's from Greece and ask him.
I try to include gods as well because when I first became interested in this path, I shut down male energy.
A lot of them do.
Because I felt like I had been failed from
Oh, we're so inundated by
God and
the patriarchy,
the Jesus. But then as I grew in my practice, I realized it wasn't them that failed me. It was the people who were supposedly teaching and working with them. So now you need that. I am all about balance.
You got to have the balance, and we've talked about that in our other podcasts throughout this season.
I'm Libra. I'm all about
right.
balance.
You can't have the yin without the yang. You can't have the masculine without the feminine. And so here, when we're talking about the gods like Osiris, I happen to follow the Egyptian pantheon, and Osiris is all about rebirth. So that makes sense. One of the reasons we have Valentine's Day is because of Eros, which is Cupid, the god of love in, I believe, the Greek pantheon.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So above all, though, whether you go big or whether you're minimal for your Imbolc activity, hot cross buns. Some traditions make hot cross buns during this time. Well, but it's really big for the Germanic culture for Ostara during Ostara, whereas the Celts might make those hot cross buns for Bridget.
Because you're at a crossroads.
Exactly. So above all, whether you go big or minimal in your Imbolc activity, just keep these key points in mind. Now is the time to let it go. Bitch, be Elsa. Let it go. Okay? Because we have to let go. It's kind of like the Tower card. It's time to remove the shit so you have space so you can build anew. Be open to refreshing and invigorating energies filling the air. We're feeling some of that now because of the alignment of the planets that we're dealing with. And it's going to last for about a month before they unalign themselves. Okay?
So use your time wisely.
Yes, and know that this is the time to really purge, literally purge what does not serve you.
And it's simple things too. Like I've been purging my closet.
Yeah.
Both mine and my husband's closet for about 2 months. I go and take, and it's like, oh, that's clean.
We don't have to do it all at once either.
Well,
take your time.
I think it's all done. And then about a week later, I'm looking. We have neither one of us have worn either one of these things in like 2 years. Oh, it's gone. So you don't have to go in there and do everything all at one time. Just do a little at a time.
And like me, for example, I have a grandson who is 3, almost 4. In March, he'll be 4. And he is autistic and in some ways severely autistic. We're still figuring out just how autistic. But we haven't been able to have him in our house because I have ADD. And so I have piles. I know it's in the piles, but I also forget what's in the piles. And even though I put stuff up where it's not supposed to be, he was getting into dangerous things. So I didn't necessarily purge. Now, yes, I did throw away things that no longer served me that were in that room, but some of it was just simply organizing it and getting it into a place where I was like, okay, I know this stuff is dangerous. So when he comes and visits, I'm going to have something that goes over it. So out of sight, out of mind. He's not a kid that digs. Okay. It's got to be superficial. If it's there and dangling in front of him,
Right.
he wants to play with it, touch it, put it in his mouth because he is very olfactory. But if I put a sheet over top of it and just hide it, he is not that kid that's going to go and lift it up and dig underneath it. Whereas my 6-year-old is like, what's under here? You know? So it's different. So maybe even, just be organizing. Show yourself some love. Oh my God, self-care. Take the bath. Take that 15, 20-minute shower. Do what it is you have to do for you. Read a book. Eat chocolates.
And I would even encourage people to make this a priority because you're going to wind up like me.
Right. Yeah, no. And that's the thing. Now is the time to really hibernate. If you don't feel good, like you and I, if we're not feeling good, you call me and say, I can't make it in. Okay, I'll take care of the store. No big deal. I can't make it in. You're like, okay, I'll open your apothecary. No big deal. And we need to be understanding to other people that right now, like, for example, I had someone who had to cancel a meeting they had with me today. It was one of my students. And I said, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like,
don't
stop.
Even, don't.
You're taking care of what you need to take care of. And obviously that is more important right now. When we meet, it will be the perfect time in the perfect space.
Yes, you have to trust the process.
Going back to, it does not have to be perfect. It just has to be.
And I would encourage people when they take their baths and things like that, tell their family, hey, look, I'm going to take a half an hour of me time. Do not come to the bathroom door. And do not knock on the bathroom door. I don't care if I get a phone call. Tell them I will call them back later. Take in, if you want candles, use them. If you want soft music, use it. If you want bath salts, use them. And just take me time because so many people, especially women, don't take me time because we are taught not to.
Bing, 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 bing. We have a winner. Exactly. Women in society are taught, no, you don't deserve rest. You don't deserve rest. Here's the thing. If you don't rest your body's going to force you to rest. And bitch, you ain't got you don't have a say.
Right. And
you end up in the hospital. You ain't got a say.
I can only speak for myself, with the injuries and the surgeries and everything that's been going on with my husband. I've been taking care of him. Well, here I am today.
And now it's time to take care of you.
Almost unable to speak.
Right.
Because I haven't taken care of myself.
And that's the thing. I mean, we have to work on our own awareness of what I need to rest. And
loving yourself. What people need to know is self-love is not selfish.
Exactly. But we're taught it is.
Yes.
It's banged into our head from a child.
Well,
from
you
a
and
very
I are
young
both
age.
teachers, so we're both telling you,
knock it the fuck off.
Yes, selfish. I mean, it's not a selfish thing to
not
take care
at all.
Of yourself. You have to rejuvenate.
You have to,
or you start getting resentful.
Well, and not only exactly, but think about that. Think about the mental health of the women in the American country specifically is what I'm thinking of because I live here and I'm aware of it. We're so overtaxed. You have to do the laundry, do the grocery shopping, make the food. You have to take care of the kids. You have to clean the house. You have to make sure that the bed's made. You have to make sure the bed sheets are done along with the laundry.
List goes on and on. And it never ends.
And when do we have time for us? Well, if you take time for you, you're selfish. Up yours, dude. If I don't take time for me, how am I supposed to do this other stuff?
Right.
We have to be aware of taking care of ourselves. And another one that comes in here is allow yourself time to lift your spirits. Find something you want to watch. Okay, for me, my guilty pleasure, if I really want to just disconnect and just be and just enjoy myself and just rest, I'll turn on Supernatural in the background because I love me some Judson Ackle and Jared Padalecki.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sam and Dean, sign me up.
And for me, it's music. I cannot sit still when there is music playing.
Yeah.
And I have to sing along with it. Not right now. But I mean, I'm sure that you've heard me. I'm out there and nobody's been in the shop in an hour. So I turn on my music. I am singing and I get up and I dance. It rejuvenates me.
There you go.
That is my rejuvenation. It's music.
Well, and that's the thing. You can have rejuvenation that way. Rejuvenation for me sometimes is making cookies for my grandson, who just absolutely, one of the few cookies he really likes is Nana's peanut butter cookies. So I want to be rejuvenated.
I want some of Nana's
I know,
peanut butter
right?
cookies.
I know. He won't share them with you. From
From
what my daughter-in-law says, he is not a sharer when it comes to Nana's peanut butter cookies. But when we lift our spirits, even if it's something as simple as taking a nap.
Yeah, anything. Going for a walk.
And for those of you who aren't aware, taking a nap is actually a meditative space.
Mm-hmm.
Take a nap. I'm going to go meditate. That nobody needs to know that you're laying down when you meditate. Meditate can be getting up and dancing to some really great music. Mm-hmm. That's how I got the name of my company, Sarah Witchery, was through a dance meditation. Okay. But I've also had some great meditations where I've fallen asleep and had some amazing dreams that have just really make fly, where I've been trying to get to this answer, but I get it in a dream because I was meditating to the point of falling asleep.
Relaxed and trusted the process.
Exactly. And that's when your subconscious can come forward and say, here's your answer. And your subconscious meaning your guides, your goddesses, your God.
Think about it when you're in a situation and you just can't figure out how to do something. I know for me, when I was writing my books, especially if I get in a place where a situation in my book that I couldn't figure out how to get out of or how to set up.
Mm-hmm.
One time in particular, I called a friend who was in my writing group and said, "Oh my God, I can't do this. I can't figure it out." She says, "Well, I'm sorry, I'm eating right now. I'll call you in about 10 minutes.
There you go.
That was oh, okay. As soon as I hung up, I was like, oh, we're going to get this worked out. And I just laid back and I was listening to music. Within 5 minutes, I had it figured out what I was going to do. She called me and said, "Okay, what do you need help with?" I'm like, "Actually, nothing. I already figured it out." And that happens if you give yourself that little bit of space. You can figure things out.
Stop perseverating. We have a tendency when we get stuck on something, we perseverate. What am I going to do? 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 So, for example, when you let go, it's the same with energy. When you're looking at energy and you're staring at it with one eye, looking at, rawr, I'm looking at you, Popeye style. What does it do? The energy plays freeze tag.
Yeah, it's not.
And it's not moving because you're looking at it.
And that's just going to frustrate you.
Exactly. So when you stop perseverating on it, what happens? The energy starts flowing again, and then all of a sudden it's like bing, 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 bing.
And it doesn't take that long.
No, it doesn't. And if it does take,
trust the process.
And if it does take a little bit of time,
that just means
you need to slow down.
Right. Exactly.
So, and this is also a time when you can set new intentions to manifest your best life. One of the things that I really encourage my students to do in my Witchcraft 101 class right about now, in the Imbolc season, is to make a vision board. Because you're setting your intent for the coming spring. So lastly, just let yourself be filled with joy and happiness. The warmth and light are just around the bend. And as we're talking about this, the
sunlight,
the sun come through the window. And I was like, oh, if that's not Bridget going, "You got this." And then, okay, I'm going back to sleep now because then the clouds came over and it got dark again. But it's your turn to do this.
This is a gift given to you.
Exactly. So we have a question for you, and we will put this on our poll on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
What does Imbolc mean to you?
How do you celebrate Imbolc?
Exactly.
Is this your first time?
And if it is your first time, as my mother says, go to the Google. And Imbolc traditions, Imbolc ritual. If for those of you who don't know how to spell it, it's Imbolc.
And I would encourage people, excuse me again,
No,
I'm sorry.
please don't.
I would encourage people that if this is your first time, don't go to Google this time.
Yeah, come in.
Do what feels correct, and then afterward, go to Google.
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's good.
How many things you got correct.
I like that. You know, it's funny because that's what I did when I first started doing my, before I actually took the crystal Reiki classes that I took and how to use the stones. Here's the thing. I would set out a stone, mandala, and I'd set it up for my clients before they came in. And I would just go with intuition. And it wasn't until I was writing my notes on that session that I would go back and realize that, oh, that's for their heart. Oh, they were having heart problems. Oh, that's for their will. They were feeling very disempowered because they live with an abusive partner. And so, excuse me, you will come to find, like you said, 9 out of 10 times your intuition is banging on.
Right. Exactly.
Right on the money.
When, for my students, when I had them, they would ask me questions and I would wind up changing the words around a little bit, repeating what they said that wasn't a question, it was a statement. And then they would continue and all of a sudden they're exploring and they've got all the answers themselves. And especially this one student, she looked at me and she goes, I see what you did there. Because I would make them answer their own question.
Yeah.
It didn't come from me because, and my kids, how do you spell so-and-so? Go and get the dictionary and look it up. How am I supposed to spell this word if I don't know how to spell it?
Right.
How can I look it up in the dictionary if I don't know how to spell it? Okay, what's it start with? Start in that section. What's the next letter? Start looking for, those two letters.
Exactly.
And go on and on. And I guarantee you, you will never, ever forget how to spell that word again.
Oh,
it's the same way with your practice.
Oh, absolutely.
If they have to answer their own questions, they will never, ever forget it.
Right. Well, and when you come in here, we'll help you find the answers to your own questions. And we may ask you questions like, well, but what is your intent behind this?
How do you plan on using this?
Exactly. And then we can tell you, oh, well, if you're going to do that, maybe look at XYZ. Or
I always do that. When
ABC.
people come in with a problem, okay, I'm going to show you a lot of things.
Yep. What pulls you?
Yeah.
What catches your eye? The first thing that you get when you walk into someplace and you're looking for something, the first thing that catches your eye, I can almost guarantee you, it's exactly what you needed. Because your body, your spirit, remember, your spirit is moving the machinery that is the body. So if your eyeballs go to the first thing you see, and for example, it's your self-confidence candle, where they come in here and their eyes immediate light on Fumari Totalicus, our firesider thing, usually 9 out of 10 times, that's the first thing that they buy, because that's what their intuition is telling them. That's what they need.
Is telling them they need.
Exactly.
And they're listening. But if you were to tell them,
well, but there are some people who sometimes need more directness, and it's because of neurodiversity or whatever. But we know how to handle that.
We've dealt with this stuff for a long time.
Years, decades.
Beginning practitioners, I always try and get them to
think about it.
Yeah, it's like when I taught my tarot and the divination, okay, you get your book for 1 week. And then it comes to me. Right. And I put it away in a drawer. But how am I going to read? You tell me.
How are you going to read? What are you going to do with that? How are you going to approach that? So
it's the same with any practice.
So. Yeah. So please know that we're here at If the Broom Fits in Sarah and Witchery to help you with any and all questions that you might have.
And answer our questions.
And we'd like to know that,
You want to read those one more time?
Yeah, I do. So what does Imbolc mean to you? Do you have any favorite traditions? Or will this be your first time celebrating? Or maybe you're just trying something new for Imbolc.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we
Engage
always,
with us, people.
right,
Engage with us.
engage with us. We always love to know your thoughts. So please leave a comment by dropping us a line. You can respond to the poll that we have on Spotify. I always put a poll on Spotify just so that people can interact with us if you so choose. Haven't had a lot of interactions, but we have had some people listening. So,
we've had interactions with people coming in here.
Yeah. And saying, hey, I heard your podcast. In fact, next month, season 2, episode 1, we're going to start with a brand new series. And that is taking questions from our customers, from the people who come in and ask us certain things. And one of our people, I even got their permission to use their name, Carrie. Carrie brought up that she would really like to hear a podcast that's all about protection, not just protection from a Ouija board, for using a Ouija board, but protection on your home. What do you do for protection with your food? What do you do for protection? So we're going to next
personal.
Exactly. So season 2, we're going to start with protection. Now we're looking for other subjects to talk about in season 2. So if you have one that you have a lot of questions about, or maybe a subject that you'd just want to hear what we have to say about, please contact us. Let us know what that question is. We would be happy to do research, get the answers for you, and get it out there. Because one of the things both Debbie and I feel very strongly is if one person has that question, there's a whole lot more out there that have the exact same question, but they're just afraid to ask.
And we are not setting ourselves up as the know-all, end-all.
Oh, God,
there
no.
There are a lot of things that I learn every day.
Oh, my gosh.
And I have been practicing for over 40 years. So
I'm only a decade behind.
But I am telling you, if you have a question, you bring it to us. If we do not have the answer, we can direct you to where you can.
We have resources that we can refer you to. We have several people in, like myself. I'm a Reiki master. I do amplified Reiki, which is much different than traditional Reiki. We also have Marjorie, who is here, who does Reiki with a little bit of shamanistic bend on it, Native American bend. Mm-hmm. We have 3 tarot readers. We have an oracle and runes reader. Debbie does oracle, runes, and what else?
I do crystal ball and mirrors, all that. I try not to do mirrors too much because it's easy to let things in.
Yeah, mirrors are one of those ones that can be dangerous. Doorway. Yeah. But we have several practitioners here, and if you come in asking questions about something we don't practice, we happen to know people who practice other veins that we can refer you to. So if you're looking for more Latinx type information, I'm going to send you to my girlfriend who is a BIPOC person. Puerto Rican and Black. She's going to have way more information on the Latinx and the African American culturals than I ever would, because colonizer big time. I am white. Mm-hmm. I am like Irish white. I burn in the sun white. So we have resources to help people find who they're looking for or what answers. And if we can't find one, we know who to ask.
Yes, we will help you any way we can.
So, well, we want to wish you a happy Imbolc. Yes. We hope that you guys enjoyed our podcast. We look forward to being here next month.
And thank you for this first year. We've had a wonderful time.
Oh, we've had so much fun. I don't have like a pop for like a champagne pop.
We should have some
pop.
As my family calls it, we should have some champibly.
Champibly. Yeah. Well, as a recovering alcoholic, I'd rather go with I'd rather go with sparkling apple cider. Ooh, butterbeer.
We could do that.
There you go. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful Imbolc. Again, we are here at If the Broom Fits, Sarah Witchery, and you heard from our newest addition to the store, Miss Colleen Vine Tarot. So we really do hope that you'll come by and say hi. And if not, we'll talk to you next month on our second season opener.
Blessed
Blessed
be.
be.